Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we'll be looking at NBA news for October 8th. So we have a ton of huge news stories today, and I will be covering what is in the thumbnail and the title about Giannis Antetokunmpo possibly wanting out of Milwaukee. So stick around for that, but now, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so let's start the video off with the story that everyone has probably heard by now. DeJounte Murray tore his ACL on Sunday during a preseason game versus the Rockets. So I'm not going to show the video because it's a little bit graphic and don't really want to show that stuff out of respect for him. And, you know, we don't want to get demonetized. Just kidding. Alright, but I will kind of describe it. It looked pretty bad right off rip. He was kind of in pain on the ground for a while, but he was able to make it to the locker room under his own power, so naturally everyone thought that we dodged a bullet and he was alright. But he did have an MRI yesterday, and it turns out he did actually tear his ACL. And I mean, this is one of the most heartbreaking stories I've heard in a while, and that's not even an exaggeration. According to sources, he spent most of Monday around his teammates as he awaited the results of the MRI. With the departures of Kawhi Leonard and Manu Ginobili, this is supposed to be the year DeJounte Murray stepped up and became the leader of this team. And from what we saw in the preseason and training camp, it was all going to plan. He looked really good and played extremely well, and we saw how improved his three-point shot was. This isn't as bad for Murray because he is still young. He is only being 22, but the effect that this has on the Spurs organization will be humongous. They have a lot of veterans who are only getting worse as time goes on, such as Patty Mills and Pau Gasol. And this will be yet another year for the Spurs lost to injuries, and it might signal the end of this core and a few of these veterans, such as I listed before, Patty Mills and Pau Gasol. Now, I know you might be thinking that Patty Mills will be the replacement for DeJounte Murray, and this isn't entirely true. Derek White, who is entering his third season in the NBA, might be his replacement. He has only played in 7 games throughout his NBA career, but he has been drawing a lot of high praise throughout training camp, and Patty Mills recently said that he is more comfortable playing with the second unit. If one organization has consistently been able to adapt to things like this, it's the Spurs. So we're going to have to see how this plans out. So for our next story, we will go to Phoenix with our most recent general manager firing. The Suns have fired their general manager, Ryan McDonough. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, after 5 years of him being the acting general manager. And this was a decision that we all knew was coming, but the timing seems a little bit off. McDonough came into this job with little experience, and it really showed. He has had multiple circumstances of positions being lopsided, and really the most recent of that being the forward position with TJ Warren, Josh Jackson, Marquise Chris, Dragon Bender, Mikal Bridges, and Trevor Ariza all being forwards and still being on the active roster, while Ali Akabu is the starting point guard. And the Suns had one of the weirdest off seasons across the NBA as they signed Trevor Ariza, who is a guy that can help a team win now, even though the Suns are rebuilding. They signed him to a $10 million deal and traded Marquise Chris for a coupon from Wendy's and a bag of potato chips in reality. So this has really been a long time coming for Phoenix and Ryan McDonough. Alright, so let's move on to Phoenix to talk about their little shooting guard problem. Head coach of the 76ers, Brett Brown, is considering starting Markelle Fultz at the start of the game and then starting JJ Redick after halftime. And I know a lot of people are jumping on the Markelle Fultz hype train after he has had a pretty good preseason, but JJ's a better fit for this team. Although Fultz might be a better player all around, JJ is just such a great fit alongside Ben Simmons, and it really makes Ben Simmons' job much easier. JJ, he's the consistent shooter that the Sixers can rely on, and Fultz just doesn't have that shooting capabilities yet. I'm not saying that he won't have those in the future. I'm just saying not yet he can be the guy you can rely on, such as JJ Redick. JJ's always consistent, while Fultz is a little bit more of a, how do I say this nicely? He's a little bit more wild. I would say that you can't count on him to put up 20 every night. I think you can count on JJ Redick if he's getting wide open three-pointers to put up 20 a night. I think that's realistic, but Fultz can go a game where he scores 30 and just is awesome, and then he can go a game where he scores 2 points. And that's just something you can't have in a championship team that they like to call themselves. And Fultz is really the much-needed scorer they need off the bench. The Sixers really don't have anyone off the bench that I could think of right now. They have Wilson Chandler. He's not good. But if you just think Fultz off the bench would be really a good piece. While JJ, although he is a good shooter, a spot-up shooter at that, he can't create his own shot and be an offensive leader. He can't lead a team offensively or a unit offensively. So Fultz can do that. He can score and he can do what JJ can't. And JJ can do what Fultz can't. And I think JJ is just a great fit next to Ben Simmons. And I don't know why they are even thinking about this. But, I mean, Brett Brown's one of the best coaches in the league, according to many. Some don't like him at all, but I think he is a really good coach. So maybe he's seeing something that we're not, because, yeah, he's closer to Fultz and JJ than we are. So maybe he's seeing something that we aren't. We're going to have to see how that pans out. So next, we will talk about the Jimmy Butler saga. The Timberwolves have asked about Josh Richardson, Kelly Olynyk, Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic, Justice Winslow, and a first-round pick. So I have a few questions about this. I mean, this is a pretty crazy report if this was all for Jimmy Butler. If the Timberwolves are asking for Josh Richardson, Kelly Olynyk, Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic, Justice Winslow, and a first-round pick, all for Jimmy Butler, then Jimmy Butler's going to remain a Timberwolf, and he's not going to be traded. I bet that they asked, it was like 3 different trades, and I bet these guys were all featured in one of those trades. So here's one example. Josh Richardson, Kelly Olynyk, Goran Dragic were one trade. Justice Winslow, so they weren't all in the same trade, but they were combined together and there were different combinations. I bet that's what happened. If this was in one trade for Jimmy Butler, the Timberwolves are insane. I mean, what is their problem? As I've said before, the Heat have loosened up on the idea of giving up Josh Richardson in this trade, but it's going to have to be a pretty good deal, and Josh Richardson is not the best player named. Probably Goran Dragic is. So I don't know what the Timberwolves are doing. My real question is, will Jimmy play for Minnesota this year? Because Timberwolves are not. They're for some reason they aren't giving him up. The Timberwolves are not going to compete this year. They're insane to think that they are, which they have stated that they're trying to compete this year. Are you kidding me? With the Lakers, the Rockets, the Warriors, every other team, the Jazz, the Thunder, that's 6 teams, I think. 6 teams that are better than you. Do you know how much injuries would have to happen? Do you know how lucky the Timberwolves would have to be just to make it to the finals? I mean, they would have to have a earthquake in Golden State and Los Angeles, while a snowstorm just wipes out the entire team of Utah. And over there in Oklahoma City, there's a tornado happening every 2 seconds, and Russell Westbrook ends up dying. I mean, that's a little bit dark, but that's what the Timberwolves are hoping for in order just to make it to the finals. I mean, it would have to, I don't know what the Timberwolves are thinking. That if they want to be stuck in mediocrity the entire, for the next 10 years, then yeah, keep Jimmy Butler. But right now, it's looking bad for the Timberwolves because they aren't giving him up. they are stuck in the ideology that they will win, they're going to compete, and they're going to do great. And they think that Jimmy Butler is going to be just so happy once the Timberwolves succeed, which they won't. And I don't know if Jimmy Butler's going to play. Tom Thibodeau believes he will play. We can't trust Tom Thibodeau anymore. We can't do anything about Tom Thibodeau, so I'm not even going to bring his name into here, except when I state the stupidity of this whole situation. Jimmy Butler should have been traded weeks ago, and this has been dragging on for about a month. I don't know what the holdup is. I think everything fell apart when they started asking about Ben freaking Simmons in exchange for Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's not that good. He's a good player, but he's not Ben Simmons' potential value. It's insane that the stupid, I hate to say that, but stupid organization of the Timberwolves is showing. I mean, yet again, this is another example of the Timberwolves being the worst organization in NBA history. Let me know what you guys think of that in the comments down below. Are they the worst organization in NBA history? I mean, the way they developed Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns is horrid. I mean, Andrew Wiggins was looked at as one of the best prospects ever. So was Karl Anthony Towns. And they haven't developed at all. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, he developed the most, and all he's done was basically nothing. Jimmy Butler he didn't look comfortable. I wouldn't say that he looked alright. I would just say he looked a little bit uncomfortable last year. And I don't know. I mean, just Timberwolves. They never fail. They never fail to make me just like, I could run an organization better than them. But, okay, we gotta move on. I don't think Jimmy Butler will be traded before the NBA season starts if the Timberwolves are asking for this much in return. Right, so let's move on to the insane story. The title of the thumbnail: Giannis Antetokunmpo and his status in Milwaukee. So, here's the report. Let me just say it straight up. Many NBA insiders believe Giannis Antetokunmpo will eventually leave Milwaukee. Giannis knows that many free agents won't come to the small market of Milwaukee, even though he does not really mind the atmosphere. And this is kind of just a lose-lose situation for both sides. You can't blame any of them for their handling of this. From one standpoint, you can't blame the Bucks, because I know a lot of people like to clown on them, but Milwaukee is one of the smallest markets in the NBA right now, and no free agent is going to want to go there. And from the other standpoint, you can't blame Giannis either. I mean, he's been an elite player in the NBA for, like 3 years? And the best signing that he's gotten, the best free agent that the Bucks have gotten, is probably Brook Lopez. You can't blame him for being competitive and wanting to win. And it really sucks for both sides. Giannis said that he loves Milwaukee and wants to remain there on the team throughout his entire career. But after a little bit of digging throughout his career, he said this right after KD signed with the Warriors. A lot of people say they're going to stay on the team, and they decide to move to a different city. But you guys have always got to remember that a guy might want to stay on a team, but the team doesn't do the right thing or right moves for the player to become great. KD, the only reason he wanted to stay in OKC was to win a championship, right? So did they win the championship? That's why he decided to leave. Did he win a championship in Golden State? So sometimes it's not only the player, because sometimes it's not up to the player. And yeah, this is a little bit cryptic. I mean, Milwaukee's trying, but it's like, it sucks to see this happen, because Milwaukee has such a great young core and such a great team atmosphere and stuff like that, but this says it all. I mean, Giannis, he knows that Milwaukee's trying. I hope he knows, but they just can't, and they're trying so hard. It's like that little league baseball where he just can't hit the ball, so they need to pull out the whatever it's called. What do you put the ball on? The tee? Oh yeah. They bring out the tee, and he has to just hit it. They have to hit it, and it's like that. I'm not sure if that was the best analogy, but I mean, Milwaukee's trying. You guys got to give it to Milwaukee. They're trying, but it really sucks for both sides. You hate to see it, but let's just think about this for a second. What if Giannis was traded? I mean, here's the thing. My first team that I think he'd actually go to in a trade would be the Phoenix Suns. Yes, I mean, just think about this duo. This trio. Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Giannis Antetokunmpo. Whoa, that would be just crazy. Would that be the best trio in NBA history? I mean, Bosh, Wade, and LeBron were good on paper, but Wade and Bosh struggled with the injuries. I can't really think of anyone else. Maybe Bird, Parrish, and whatever else his name was. Why can't I think of him? Oh, this is bad. Bird? Who else? It doesn't even matter. But this would be the trio with the most potential in NBA history. If they'd still be young. They'd still probably be 25, because this deal isn't going to happen tomorrow. It's going to be something that progresses throughout maybe years. So this would be something that we'd have to watch out for multiple years. And I think the Suns would actually be really interesting to watch, especially if they can keep Josh Jackson or someone like that just to play power forward, even though I bet Giannis would run power forward. But they would have to keep a small forward, maybe make a few free agent signings, and then boom, NBA championship. Another NBA team that would probably be in the mix for a trade would be the New York Knicks, because they always are, but they never seem to do anything. Same with the Lakers. They would have to give up a bunch of their young assets and really good, solid role players to get a guy like Giannis, and I bet the return for that isn't that great, especially considering they have a guy such as LeBron, who doesn't really need another quote-unquote star. They just need a bunch of role players who find their role, and especially specialists. Besides that, I'm not going to talk about why LeBron succeeds. It doesn't even matter. But I bet the Lakers wouldn't go after him. The Suns would definitely be an interesting, development. Would they be able to beat Golden State with the current roster they have? Let's just say they trade a few guys away and they add Giannis. Would they be able to beat Golden State? Probably not. Golden State is a superpower for now. We're seeing a little bit of the dynasty dying. A little bit. The addition of the Marcus Cousins just seemed to break the NBA, but I bet he won't come back healthy within the year that he's in Golden State. I bet he won't come back healthy. So DeMarcus won't have a huge effect on whether they destroy everybody, but I don't see anyone taking down Golden State this year. Maybe in a few years, the Phoenix Suns with Giannis Antetokunmpo could win an NBA championship. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think that a Giannis trade within the next, let's just say, 3 years is possible? Or do you think Giannis is staying in Milwaukee forever? With that quote, I think there's no chance he stays in Milwaukee. It definitely depends on how Milwaukee handles certain things. They would have to trade for another guy. Eric Bledsoe's cool. Eric Bledsoe's a step in the right direction, but he's not someone that could be a number 1 or number 2 guy on a championship team. And that's really what the NBA is all about, winning championships. And I don't think Giannis can see himself winning in Milwaukee. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think that Milwaukee should trade him, or do you think they should hold on to him? And that goes, vice versa. Would Giannis want to be traded from Milwaukee and stuff like that? So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below on all the stories featured today. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and see you soon.